Welcome to I'm Loving Life podcast with A&T Mechanical, Heat and Air, Plumbing, and Electric. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
I know. I'm super excited. I know we've been dropping hints and saying we're going to do it. It is official. It is running on itself at this moment.
Yep. Probably a lot smoother process the second time, would you say, with adding a service?
I don't know, because when we started the plumbing, I think it was still running because we had all the stuff, but it wasn't as easy because I piled all the work up going to it.
Yeah.
It was Generac right now. And then on top of that, he's out there selling on his own. Mm-hmm. He's doing switches, putting smoke detectors.
Steven is?
Yeah.
Or they both are?
No, Daniel couldn't come in today, but Steven's out there running on his own, making money.
Yeah. That's great.
Crazy. You know what I'm saying? Usually, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'll go to this bid, saying we need to change your plug for your dryer vent. It was messed up. To add that level of knowledge and experience to notice it is amazing.
Right. And that's probably the big difference between getting someone that's experienced, and especially residential, right? Compared to a commercial guy or someone like a helper that really doesn't know.
Right.
So, that's a big benefit.
So, smoother, yes. I remember when we started plumbing, we were just pulling at anything.
Yeah.
We didn't get some traction for the first month.
I want to say probably where the cracks kind of started to happen, whenever you're seeing quality or whatever it is probably about 6 months in.
Right.
I think is when that kind of showed up, and then you have to readjust, big time. And then probably running that, so many helpers, inexperienced, because there's a really green crew. Yeah. And you pretty much had one experienced guy. So
that's running the green crew. Yeah.
It's a bit of a different thing.
I could see that. But it's talk about, if you're going to start at January 2025, it's a way to start it. It's because we went to the home show last weekend, and to be able to say we're a one-stop shop, we can help with all your problems. Mm-hmm. It's such a bigger thing. But when we first started HVAC, I thought it was crazy that people are we do heat and air, plumbing, electric. I'm they don't specialize anything, and that's my arrogance maybe, or my ego, because I didn't understand the process. Mm-hmm. And as an owner, you realize that one customer, you say it all the time, one person basically is a $40,000 person every single year, right?
Their lifetime over the lifetime,
that client is basically $40,000. Mm-hmm. And then you add other trades in there, you're pulling more from that person. Or if you look at it as a household, that household has a potential of something failing in it every year, or some potential of revenue, and we're taking this small wedge of the pie that we're hoping that we get in by every 6 months just to maintain it, which is margin for us is there's nothing there. To, hey, there's potential of getting a bigger piece of the pie. I say, what do you say, half or 3/4 or maybe 2/3 of the pie?
Yeah, right.
For that house, because then you're building bigger relationships with those people. And for us to be able to have that knowledge and the experience to do it, it just sets us up to be more successful than my little brain was thinking when I was 21 years ago, because we want to specialize, right? We specialized in it. And then I'm
you still specialize in it. It's just different people.
Right. But then you're really focused, for us, we have Mike that can focus on that. We have a great team of heat and air that we focus on. The electrics, those two guys focus only on that. So those two, they're basically departments running on themselves all under the umbrella. And that's, I didn't think of that.
I think your argument makes sense if you were to be I'm going to get my electrical contractors, I'm going to get my plumbing, because then you're all over the place at that point, and it's just you doing it. Then you can say, all right, well, they don't specialize in anything.
Correct. And that's the thing is but what's hard for us is we see a problem and then we react instead of proactive. Like, hey, we know. I don't say it's a problem. We're trying to get better at it. If we see that the HVAC is not getting bids, then we're like, all right, how do we change that? The plumbing's self-contained right now, but we need to focus 2 months from now when they're not self-contained. And it's just like having, like you or in charge of the marketing part, is that we're focusing on all three every single month and moving forward instead of us pivoting. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Well, like when I first started, I was thinking of the whole, like the corporate thing where it's like, well, you make decisions 6 months, a year out, basically, of what you're going to do. But then you kind of run into it and you're like, no, you're trying to put out fires. But then, obviously you're working towards, hey, I got to start thinking about 3 months down the road versus like this month, But I guess getting enough freedom and enough help in order to do that is probably a big part of it, I would think. Because like when you're still running like HVAC calls during the summer, right?
You're not thinking about it.
You're not really thinking about it.
You're just trying to get through it.
If I'm running into, it's like, oh, I got to push this because we need jobs on the board next week or whatever, that takes me away from thinking 3 months out, or whatever it is. So, yeah, I think it's just like a growing kind of changing experience.
And what helps owning the three is that there's less dip for the wintertime for the HVAC guys. But, you still got to produce. That's the big money maker is our change out. And we got to stay true to it. But it's just, as a group, there's so many moving parts now. We have so many moving parts that you feel like you're not in control. Yeah. You're just straight chaos right now. But there's like controlled chaos. So that's where I feel like I'm at. I don't know.
I think the biggest win, honestly, is the customers, right? Because they can talk to one company, one person, whatever, to get most of their big components, repairs done in their house. And the also part is for us to actually be able to control the whole process and the quality, right? So you don't have to worry about, well, we had this for electrical go out there and they didn't show up or whatever it is. And then you have to change them out. And then that experience goes down, and they're kind of let down by that. Because whenever you sub, like you're kind of putting your name on it, right? That's essentially what you're doing.
It happened to us is like we went out there to put a cooktop in out of a new construction, and our guys cut through not only the electric but the gas line all in one swoop by a saw to open up the space so they can get it out. Well, they cut through it all. Well, we didn't have to be like, hey, we need to hire an electrician to go out there. Like, send them. Send the plumbers. Send the gas. Electric.
You can react a lot quicker and fix the problems.
And there's not like, oh, who's going to pay for it? No, we did it. We're going to pay for it, even though it shouldn't have been there. We'll pay for it. Let's get it done. Let's move it. And that's I'm excited for the first job that we have all three.
Yeah, all at the same time.
So I can be like, HVAC, plumbing, electric,
Wouldn't it be cool
to
do
fighting each other?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the other thing is like getting along too, like everybody does, even between the plumbers and the HVAC guys before and now the electricians, like everyone gets along, because there's that whole thing in the trades about other trades, talking crap about another one or whatever, which is fun to do. Yes. It's just funny, right? Like electricians are known for like not cleaning up all their wire nuts and stuff and leaving it dirty, right? So at least when it's in-house, you don't go to an install and be like, what is this? Like, no, like you're supposed to take care of that. You can like set your standard.
It's going to be fun.
Wouldn't it be awesome to do? So I was looking at last night, I kind of went down a rabbit hole and I was looking at the past 2 years of like videos.
And, really? Yeah. You went that rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pictures and all kinds of stuff. And when you mentioned like, hey, I want all three to be on job, how cool would that be to do like that 8-unit install, the roof install with all three? Because the plumbers were there, right, at that time. But imagine if the electricians were there and like everyone's all together, like pushing, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, just to say we got it all done. And then you control the narrative. Like you'll actually, I'm hoping, once we get them all three in the same spot, that we actually get more money for it because it's all going in-house instead of like, we're paying this, and got to pay more.
Well, the other part is like you hear, well, whenever there's multiple trades, right, in one house and they don't control the whole process, sometimes they'll be like, well, they're really good at HVAC, but their electricians suck,
right.
you know, or their plumber sucks. I don't call them for that, you know, for this. But to have like control of the whole thing and make sure everything's up to par, it's like, no, call them, because it doesn't matter what the service is, they're going to do it, you know, and do it well and being on time.
Because we have a level that we're going to be at regardless.
It's crazy how just like showing up on time.
No joke.
Is like the minimum. And it's always the complaint that people have too, is just showing up, you know. Like,
or us not filling out jobs. Like I got shown today, like, hey, you didn't fill these out. And that's on me because, and I looked at myself and be like, I'm not giving the customer service that I'm telling everyone to do. I'm doing the same thing because I'm spread too thin, right? But if I'm telling my sales guys to make sure that's out and I can't even do the same thing, well, I have too much on my plate. I need to figure it out. And I mean, that's hard to say because I love selling, but reality is it's not beneficial to our customer or our company if just put a bid out. Granted, the ones I have are people I know and they're like waiting, but still the principal thing, if they're asking me multiple times to give it or something like that, we've already lost. And as easy as our service tech to go out there and be like, hey, we're good, and not tell our dispatch lady, hey, we're good to go, that's a problem. But I mean, just imagine what we could do if everybody's running at 100%. It's just growing pains, I guess. It's crazy that you can actually say growing pains after, I guess, 45 years or 43 years with my dad, but actually it's like five years.
Well, being on this side of things, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much starting a whole new company in a company.
A whole new thing. And it just, the journey that we wanted to do just so that we can have more control over what our job is. So,
well, how nice is that you don't have to call like 10 electricians to figure out when
who's going,
or when they can get out or whatever. It's just like, nope, we're gonna book it. Like, go.
Right.
Yeah, and then to already get have jobs and stuff is pretty cool too. And it was like that too with plumbing, because as soon as it was announced, like people already started calling.
But that's just because of our customers. Just my dad's customers for 43 years are helping us build that electric, and they don't even know they're doing it just because even if they followed us or they liked it or told someone about us or something, it's huge. I mean, Josh used this for the first time, said the guys were amazing, but he's going to tell somebody, he's going to use it, or whoever that process is, and it just blossoms if you're doing it right. As soon as you put a bad name on it, but what's good is we do have a good customer base and a good following.
As long as you're aware and fixing the problems and not letting it happen over and over.
Right.
That's a big help. But yeah, I was anyway, back to the deep dive. I was looking at a bunch of old videos and stuff, and I had I told you that I had posted that picture of you.
Oh yeah.
And I made this long post. Long post. And I haven't done that in a very long time. But the gist of it was pretty much forgetting that you're supposed to be happy, right? And not lose that hope, right? In people or whatever changes, right? And then that's what that picture reminded me of, And I was like, man, I feel like I haven't been focusing on the real part of it, which is having fun, taking care of people, and just loving life, essentially.
Right. No, get it, dude.
I always tear up at these things. Sorry, Andre. Said not to cry, but here I am. So that reminded me. And then I was like, man, I feel like because of the difficulties that can happen and you kind of lose sight, I'm like, I feel like I know I forgot that, I forgot that piece. Why can't I just focus on the loving life portion? It's a good motto, and that picture like really just reminded me of it. And I'm like 11 o'clock at night, typing this all up, and I was looking at like old videos and stuff. I'm like, because I've been trying to bring back this whole like the funny, kind of part, but the whole growth part makes it difficult because my mind is focused on like a different thing, and trying to figure that out. And I was like, I feel like I'm overcomplicating this right now, and like basically trying to find it and go back to just enjoying it and showing people who we are, stuff like that is very important, And so, I don't know, I was reminded by that, by that picture,
Well, that's good.
When I'm going through
the thing
stuff.
is like to actually know, to see it, because like I have to take moments in time and really like do the same thing as reflect on it. And like you think of those moments, like I remember when this building was a shell. I think you came over and bid it. I remember coming here and there's a little wall that's up there when there was no wall. There was just the frame.
Yeah.
And just sitting there and praying, please make this work. Because I have no idea. Like, you don't have anybody backing you. You don't have this big corporation. You're a family-owned business. You don't know if you can put food on the table a month from now. You just, you put the faith in your guys and God and make sure that they do the right thing so that you can feed 45 people and be able to buy new trucks when one drops, or if a ceiling caves in, we can overcome that. And you take those moments to say, thank you. And I forget to do that. And then time to time, God presents himself and says, hey, let me show you why I'm here. And it does all the time. So you had that moment. I understand. Because it does. You have to take those moments and enjoy them every chance you can.
Because it's easy to like overcomplicate things, and like having to learn all new things. Like I was on a call today with Simplify, right, for like OTT and CTV and stuff like that for the marketing. Anyway, so like learning all that kind of stuff, and then bringing new people in and having the learning how to delegate, and then still be gracious, and compassionate and hopeful, whenever you see like either people leave or you feel like you were slighted or whatever, it's easy to like forget it, and then you're like, wow, I'm really, one thing I said was like, it's easy to like go recluse basically and just try to go in your shell for like self-preservation, but then also you're losing a part that people need to see from you. There's an impact there, and you just forget about it, and I don't know how many people, like I was looking at it where people commenting like, I really needed this today. And it's cool to have moments like that, because other people are going through the same things at certain points, and sometimes people just need to see someone be honest, about it. But it's hard to be vulnerable too, because
especially in our business. I mean, vulnerability makes us look weak, because you're like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. Then they're like, well, why am I with this guy? I mean, half the stuff like I've never been through. But I'm going through the motions that what I think is best for the company, using our core values or my experience or whatever, to make sure that this business stays afloat for 45 more years that my dad's owned it, and for my kids to own it.